Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday. You have made it halfway through the week. And for your reward for that is getting to hear Chris Ball drop some dimes on us, I believe is what the kids say, some information. And we are going to have a great morning. Reached out to Chris and asked him, hey, what would you, if you were a brand new agent, what were some things that you would like to know? And he said, how to underwrite. How to make sure that you are getting your client in the best product for them and their family. So Chris was willing to jump on here and join us and show how he does field underwriting for FE products. So Chris, take it away, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much for allowing me to jump on here and hang out with you guys, Dallas. I appreciate it. Are you guys, any of you guys deer hunters? Deer hunters? Yeah, I'm a deer protector. Like, just so you know, when I go in the woods, that is the safest place for a deer to live. When I'm in the woods, like, they will not be harmed in that moment. They are okay. I've probably been, probably 10, 12 times. I've got 2 deer. One of the biggest issues I have when I go deer hunting is that buck fever. You get that, that you see that buck and you get all excited, and then, your hands start to shake, you shoot and you missed your shot, right? It can kind of be that way with life insurance sales and final expense sales. If you haven't had a lot of experience, when I'm sharing with you guys today is I'm hoping it alleviates that for you, so you don't run into that situation like Dallas said on the front side of this, where you have to back out of a product because you were so excited you were going to write an application. So this is for a new agent. Now, this is the other part. Many of you take phone calls from new agents, right? So I want to give you a process and some tools that you can use for them to be successful in their underwriting, because you don't want to keep answering all the questions. I promise you that. Well, you don't mind answering the questions. You don't want to keep answering the same questions from the same person, right? You want new people to ask questions, great, but you want to empower, and that is a key word for us, is to empower people to take control of their business and be successful. This issue of underwriting is a big one. I feel like it's important because there's a relationship between confidence and competence. The more competent you are, the more confident you are, the more confident you are, the more competent you are. So you have to know your business. You have to know what it is. I have seen this happen, and maybe you're a new agent and you're on here and you can sheepishly raise your hand if it's true. Have you ever not closed a sale because you were nervous about the underwriting? Like, you didn't approach your close with confidence because you were nervous about underwriting. I've seen it many times. So what I want to give you guys, and this is a simple process, but I feel like it's important for you guys to be successful. I'm going to recommend something. There are all sorts of great underwriting tools out there for you. I believe Internet Toolkits, is that right? Is that Insurance Toolkits? That's what it is. Insurance Toolkits is a great resource for underwriting that you can use both for final expense and term products. I believe that will be part of our platform. Access to that will be part of our platform when the agent management system gets rolling out. But we do have another tool that I would highly recommend for you and your agents. And this is through Life Insurance Academy. All right, this is the Life Insurance Academy Underwriting Guide for Final Expense, specifically for final expense. And the reason I feel like this tool is valuable, because it's not just there to give you answers, it's there to give you a process. And if you turn to the very first page on this, it talks about that process. And I'm going to give you I'll give you 5 steps, okay? 5 steps. Number 1, read the application questions. The name of the book, and I'll share a link with you guys, is the Life Insurance Academy Underwriting Guide for Final Expense. And I will share a link where you can get access to that. We, as Life Insurance Academy, we do sell this as a product, but for impact agents, we have decreased the cost for it down to $27. It's only $27 to get this product. Highly recommend it. So number 1, thank you, Josh. Josh Rockwell shared that, And the coupon code for it is impact 22, all lowercase. That's the coupon code. I just posted it in the chat for you guys, so you guys would have access to that too. And this is important when you're doing underwriting, that you have a process to do underwriting. And the tricky part is people who have written applications, if they start to have success, they'll start to shortcut their process. And when you do, that's when you get in trouble. And then you have to back out of something. Like you have to back out of a product you've recommended, and move to a guaranteed issue product because of that. So first, number one is read the application questions. And you may be saying, Chris, well, why am I reading the application questions? And which application? There's a good question, right? Well, the application questions will give them, this is a first wave into the underwriting process, and it gives the client the chance to answer the questions, just to answer the questions, and you can get all that preliminary stuff out of the way. And it's good practice to be able to just pull out the application and start asking the questions. You're getting more familiarized with it. Now, which application, right? Well, that's going to be for you and your upline to have the conversation with, because people come in with different carriers. Like if you're brand new, it's not an issue. Just talk to your upline and say, hey, what's my go-to? For some of you, your go-to may be Mutual of Omaha. For some of you, it may be Aetna, but it's going to be different for each upline based on the scenarios and how you came into this business. So whatever your go-to is, that's your first step, is to pull out the application. Ah, good. Yes, Dallas. Dallas saw it. He saw it in real life. People use this process. Pull out the application and ask the questions. And from that first wave, that first pass through of underwriting, it will tell you where to go in most cases. So, hey, Mrs. Jones, do you have diabetic neuropathy or diabetic complications? Yes, I do. Okay, put that application away. That will give you an idea. Okay, first, that's the first wave, going through your go-to carrier application. Number two is review medications. Review medications. Can anybody tell me why you're going to review medications?
Because if you ask someone, how's your health, you're going to get the pessimist or the optimist.
That's very true. And it is funny, isn't it? Because oh man, I don't know if you can get me qualified. Why? Because I have high blood pressure. Oh, I'll see what we can do, right?
Or as soon as I get that new heart, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So it's relative. Health is relative. You ask health questions, and in some cases, people they don't know their condition a lot of times. Sometimes, especially like married couples, if you're talking to a husband, their spouse helps them with their medications, and they don't know why they take something. So you'll want to review medications. Always ask for them to grab their bottles, even empty ones, and inhalers. People don't consider inhalers medication, by the way. I don't know if you've ever run into that. Inhalers and nitro tablets. People don't consider those medications because those are things they don't take all the time. So it's important to ask those things. So go ahead and grab your medications. Do you take any inhalers? Do you take any nitro tabs? Great. So go ahead and grab those. As you get the medications, as you do this for a while, you're going to get pretty familiar with medications. You know some medications, Cindy? You know a few? Feel like a nurse sometimes? Yeah. You know, metformin, hydrochlorothiazide, all that stuff, right? You'll start to know those, and that's where that competence piece comes in. But this is what I would recommend. As your client is telling you their medications, I would write down each one of those medications and what it's for. You can ask them what it's for, but until you start to get pretty well versed in this process, I would look up medications and get familiar with it. Here's another tip for this as you review the medications. Another reason, yes, Michael Hansen, Google is your friend. Yes, Google those meds. The other reason I like doing that is it gives you a good study sheet, because this is the work before the work. Like most people aren't willing to do the work before the work. So afterwards, you're like, man, that sounds like a funny medication. Then review it. Make sure you know it. Like go home at night and look up these medications again and take note of it. because after a while you will start to get familiar, and you will know the medications on a regular basis. So review medications, write them down. The reason we do that also is because medications don't lie. People, I won't say people lie, but they get confused about their medications or what they took previously. So when you're writing those medications, and you may even find that, and this is why we look them up on Google, Michael Hansen, is because, what do you take metformin for? Oh, well, I take that for my gout. Oh, are they giving that for gout now? I didn't realize that. Okay. So it's it clarifies that's what they're taking it for. And then you can ask that question, reframe that question again. Did they ever talk to you about possibly having diabetes? Well, they didn't say I was diabetic. They did say I was borderline. Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, there's no such thing. So people, it's important that you make sure you're seeing those medications. Thank you, Akil. I appreciate you saying that. You said this is great. And again, this is for you and it's for your agents. This is for you to teach your agents a process for underwriting so that they're not always calling you for underwriting help. There's all sorts of great reasons to call, but underwriting help, we want to empower people for that. So number one, read application questions. Number two, review medications. Number three is confirm the carrier with the underwriting guide. That's where we recommend this. The other great reason I like this is like insurance toolkits can give you, you can insert prescriptions, you can insert diagnosis, all that stuff, and it will pull up the carriers that are available. The other reason I like this is this does give you a good study tool where you can just run through it. And here's a tip: the one that trips people up, like the stuff that trips people up the most, are COPD and diabetic issues, complications, right? Like those are the things that because they're not knockout questions, it's not super easy to go to like a guaranteed issue like congestive heart failure, right? Those are the ones we go to typically. But the thing I like about this tool is you can look up the ones like, hey, I seem to be running into a lot of neuropathy, like highlight it. You can go into this and it will tell you the carriers that you can use for diabetic neuropathy. Hey, I keep running into, in this area, I keep running into, driver's license suspended. That's in here. Like you can highlight that. For some reason, there's a lot of DUIs in this county. So highlight that so you're aware of it. And height and weight issues are in here. This helps you build your competence, right? So confirm the carrier with the underwriting guide. All right. We're in steps 1, 2, 3. 1, read the questions. 2, review medications. Number 3, confirm with the underwriting guide. Fill out the application is number 4. Complete the qualification is at the end of it. Those are 5 steps. 5 steps. I'll review those again. Read the application questions. Number 2, review medications. Number 3, confirm carrier with underwriting guide. Number 4, fill out application. Number 5, complete qualification. This is just in book form, Hindo. It is. But yeah, if you're interested, you can jump in the Life Insurance Academy website. I think Josh posted the link here, and also the Impact 22 code, lowercase Impact 22. It's a great resource. Now, let me ask you this. What's the issue? You're like, hey, Chris, I know how to do this. Not a big deal. All right. What's the issue with confirming with the underwriting guide before reviewing medications? Why would that be an issue? Like right now, this is the process that we have built. Read the application questions. Number 2, review medications. Number 3, confirm the carrier with the underwriting guide. What is the issue with changing those around?
Medications can be for different things.
Yeah, medications can be for different things, right? What else?
It duplicates in your team.
What's that?
It duplicates in your team. What you do, others will do.
Yeah, it duplicates a process for your team. Very good. Absolutely. And sometimes this is what will happen. Confirming the carrier with underwriting guide. This is what I see agents do. They'll go to their underwriting guide. They'll feel like that is the answer and they'll start to write the application. They forget to review the medications. That's the stuff that happens. And these are easy wins. I mean, if we can commit to a process, that's an easy win for us. That helps people feel empowered. They know what to do when they're in their process of writing an application, and they don't have to back out of something.
Well,
Matter
I was going to add to that. You have to look at how every company looks at that medication. Some companies will accept the medication,
Right.
other companies won't. And it just depends on their health. You know what I mean? Why they're taking. I mean, it's kind of more in depth than that, but it really does come down to preference on companies.
Correct. And that's why the beginning of this is a conversation with your upline about your go-to carriers. And everybody has different carriers for whatever reason. Like some people are coming in, they have a sit out period, and so they have a handful of carriers that they can use. That is a conversation with your upline manager and saying, hey, if I'm going to use this underwriting process, what is the application that I'm pulling out? Like, which one is it going to be? Is it going to be American Amicable? Is it going to be Foresters? Is it you tell me which one you think I should be pulling out just to get started from that. Because you may say, hey, this is my carrier, I love it. But for whatever reason, some people don't have that carrier at this time. Maybe they will later. That's why that conversation is so important with your upline. That's the process, guys. Do you have any other questions? What questions you got?
I've got a question. I'm kind of new here.
Hey, Tracy, how you doing? Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, this is 7 something in the morning here, so this is pretty early.
Oh
for
my
me.
goodness. Wow. Thank you for being on. Are you in Hawaii?
No, that's my friend Lydia. She's in Hawaii. I'm in Portland,
Okay.
Oregon. Yeah. So my question is, I'm just trying to understand the context of this conversation. Is this like on the initial call with the client? Or is this after we've already set that appointment?
That is a great question. So once you've started your process, so first of all, you're setting an appointment, great. You don't want to get into the weeds of this on the front side of that. If you're following up and you have that second call with your client, then there's a whole other process, right? You want to build a relationship or start to build that connection, go through your sales process. As you start to go to your close, there's an underwriting process, and then you close. That's part of the closing process. Okay. So, I get it. And I appreciate that, Tracy. This is one piece of this. This is just one piece. And we have tools for you. You have complete access to Life Insurance Academy. If you can, Dallas, if you can make sure that we have the link to Sean. So in here, if you don't mind posting Sean's email address. Yeah, thanks. That way, if you haven't had access to that yet, then we want to make sure that you do have access. And that talks through the entire sales process. This is a piece of that sales process. And it's so funny. Like at the beginning of this, I talked about competence and confidence, right? You're looking at the whole thing, right? Right now, you got into life insurance. We've narrowed it down. We're doing life insurance. Okay, what's next? Final expense. We've narrowed that down. Okay, what's inside of that final expense box? Like I'm pulling all this stuff out. Making calls, setting appointments, doing a presentation, underwriting. Underwriting is the more you understand about these little pieces, the more it's going to help you in the long run. So, but I want you to see the full process. So he'll make sure you have access to Life Insurance Academy so you can check out those videos. Was that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Who's your upline?
Tyra and Cindy.
Okay, great. Yeah, they know their stuff. They're high quality H2O right there. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Chris, when we're all done with this, I just want to make a quick announcement. I want to give everybody opportunity to wrap this up, but before we end the call, if you don't mind, if I just make an announcement.
All right. Do we have any other questions about underwriting? Maybe you ran into a situation. Oh,
Hey.
here's another underwriting piece too. Just if this gets you to the point of filling out the application and you still have questions, pick up the phone. You can call your upline. If you have issues, we have a Slack channel for life. If you have questions about underwriting, you can go into that Slack channel and ask a question. If you need help connecting with Slack, reach out. That's important. That's good stuff. And ultimately, you can call the companies and they'll help you with the risk assessment in most cases. So yes. Anyway, David, go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, I just wanted to add there. Thanks for letting me talk. What you guys heard as a very common word that Chris used was the word process. You know, the process of underwriting, the process of setting your appointment and getting in front of being able to quote and get an approved application. I look at it kind of like building a puzzle, right? All of this pre-work is very simply putting the puzzle pieces in the right piece, in the right spot. And that's going to very simply identify which carrier or carriers is going to be the answer for your client. And if, in my opinion, what I found is if we don't really focus on the carrier, but we focus on what the client's trying to get done, the carrier will simply identify themselves. And one of the things I tell clients when I'm sitting and writing life insurance is look, I may be contracted and can represent 50, 55, 60 different companies, but you know, Cindy, I don't care which company I put in front of you, but I do care that it's the company that's the best fit for what your needs are. Is that fair? And I get Cindy or whoever the client is that's sitting in Cindy's chair to actually agree with the fact that we're going to go through a puzzle process to find out which company is going to reveal themselves as the best fit. Your upline, people like Dallas and Chris and Cindy and all these people, we're all going to be able to help you do those things. But this is why these calls are important, because what you want to understand is that upfront process, because the back end is easy once you get the front end down.
Amen. Very good. And you said something important there, David, that you're putting this puzzle piece, you're putting this puzzle together, and whatever that puzzle is revealed, it is the best one for your client. That is very important, guys, because as a new agent, I will tell you what I struggled with. I'm going through this qualification process, and then I'm like, oh, well, it's guaranteed issue. It's a guaranteed issue product. You know, hey, we tried to get you this one, but we got you this one instead. You know, like they lost the prices right. It is the best plan available for them in the state. It is the best one. That's what we're working to. That's what it came to. And it, however you present that, they will receive it. Thank you,
Sean, and Chris, I want to add on, but I'd like your opinion on this. Not saying this is the right way, wrong way, whatever. It's just how Cody and I did it. We were selling FE. In my 8 years of selling FE, we used maybe 5 carriers. But what that allowed us to do was make sure we knew which carrier was best for that situation. I think it was, I don't know, I think it was Caroline that said on there, the best, my go-to is the one that's right for the client. And that's how we should look at it. But like, we got to where when we walked into a house, I mean, within maybe even sometimes before we started asking these questions, we're like, oh, this is a Royal Neighbor's house. This is a Forester's house. This is a guaranteed issue house, right? Sometimes it's pretty obvious. There's an oxygen tank laying in the corner and, you know, but so, I mean, having just those 5 carriers really let us become an expert on, and there was, with those 5 carriers, there was no one in the planet that we couldn't write a policy on.
Correct.
So I mean,
Glad you said
I know
that.
a lot of people just go after the cheapest product or whatever, but that's how we always did it, you know?
Yes, very good. Here's another thing. I want to talk to you guys as leaders. If you're getting these calls, hey, I'm with Mrs. Jones right now. We're trying to get her the best plan available for her. I just want to call and check in with you because a lot of people have that process in their sales where they're calling their upline, right? And then she has this issue. She has diabetic neuropathy. Okay. All right. Is she taking any inhalers? Does she have any COPD? Hey, Mrs. Jones, do you have any COPD? I don't know if you guys have ran into that. If that's happening as a leader, it's because your agent doesn't know the process. They don't know it, and that has to be addressed at some point, or you will still keep getting those calls. So make sure that's a symptom of something, you just have to pay attention to it. If that's happening, you just need to have that conversation. Hey, tell me afterwards, tell me that process that you went through to try to figure out the underwriting for your Mrs. Jones, okay? Because I want to make sure we're on the same page for this, because when you call me, you need to know all those meds, all of them, every single one. It shouldn't be news. Cool. So that's just the leadership piece. Cool. Okay.
I'd like to, yeah. So it's one of the things that I do. I kind of take people through this process, like right before I go into the medical underwriting. And I say, now listen, even though these programs don't have any major medical underwriting, like no nurse is going to come out,
right.
They're not going to contact your doctor or anything like that. They do have medical questions, right? And I just want to let you know that as soon as you sign this application, they can see everything in your history anyways. So it's really important that you tell me everything you got going on, because I have over 100 different programs. I have something for everyone. So if I miss something, we get you in the wrong program, or you forget to tell me something, we're gonna have to go back through all this again, right? So again, they can see everything as soon as you sign the application, right? And one of the other things I say after I take all the medical information and whatnot, I say, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you got going on? Is there anything else you got going on I didn't ask you about today? Right?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they'll say, this, that, or the other, right? But good way to kind of get it all out. But letting them know, I even though I said that the other day, I had a guy who still, when we got to the end of the American Amicable application, he was on methadone. I said, hey, like, I see you're on methadone, right? He goes, well, I thought this was private. I said, I told you before we did this, that you see everything as soon as you, like, that makes it no longer private when you sign the application. They can see everything, right? So people will still do that to you. They will think, oh, this has no medical underwriting. I don't have to tell him or her what's going on. So for me, it's very important to be very transparent about how
Very
it
good.
works. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And on that same note, Cindy told me something in the home that really was cool. She said, I'm like the lawyer, not the judge. I'm here for you, but I need to know everything.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have a question or a comment in regards to this? Go ahead, Steve.
It's been my experience when you write a pretty good book of business, a lot of times underwriters will be more lenient on some borderline cases. Not always, but it seems like, they know you're trying to do it right and they reward you. I've had some cases I go, oh, you're going to go ahead and let them through, and thank you very much. So hopefully that'll help.
That is very true. I appreciate you saying that. This is a reputation business. If you're a sloppy underwriter, they know you. If you're a good underwriter, they know you. And you're absolutely right. You will get some things that are borderline, because it's not always super clear. Unfortunately, there are those instances where you do have to get a risk assessment or something like that. If you do get a risk assessment, I always make a note of who I spoke to. And I put it in the notes in the application when I submit the application, by the way. That is one thing that I do. But yeah, if you have a good reputation, they will work with you on your cases you submit. Yes, go ahead, Steve.
I got one more. I really recommend you get the flip chart also, as well as the guide. Together, I think it's like $50 or something, but
yeah,
it's really handy because sometimes something I found in there is like, oh, you know what? I skipped that. Why did I do that? It's just kind of a nice resource, and it's very inexpensive thanks to Chris and everybody giving us a discount. So I'd get both of them if I was you.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Your check's in the mail. No, we try to make it as simple as possible, duplicatable, empowering and profitable. That's important to us. All right. Any other questions regarding underwriting? I appreciate you, Tracy, being on here. Any new person, thank you for being on here. Our goal is just to help you be as successful as possible. We want to give you tools. If you have questions about underwriting, the underwriting process, I'd be glad to connect with you. You can reach out to me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you crush it. All right. Was there anything else, Cindy?
Yes. So I'm sure we all, for those of you who are on Monday's call, got a little glimpse at what David Allen is doing here with Impact Legacy Group. We're super excited to be working with him. I was speaking with David about a couple cases I have got going on, and in doing that, I asked him to be a guest speaker on my agency call tomorrow, which is at 2 p.m. Central, and he agreed to do that. And I want to invite everyone. You are welcome to come to our agency call tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central. The Zoom ID I put in here, it's just my telephone number. I will post it in Slack under the annuity section and maybe under announcements as well. But this is going to be a wonderful opportunity. And like, listen, many of you are like, well, I'm not ready for annuities. This is a perfect call for you. Because what he's going to do is he's just going to give you some, like, a couple one-liners to like say and teach you how to get the statements and things of that sort. That's going to be directed for people who are brand new, don't know what you're doing and whatnot. And then he's going to go into some further detail for people who are ready to maybe take that next step. So I highly encourage everyone, if you have the time, you are welcome to hop on that call, learn from David. I know he's probably going to be doing many other calls with Impact Legacy Group. For many of us, you might learn like me, which is I need repetition. I need to hear it multiple times. So that's why I just wanted to invite everyone to join us on that Zoom call. The Zoom ID is the same as my telephone number, which is 608-332-2665. David, do you want to say anything at all?
Go ahead and post that number in chat, please.
Challenge accepted might be the best thing, Cindy. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm excited to be here. My job is actually to help you guys be able to take this part of the industry, which a lot of people are uncomfortable with because they're not used to talking about other people's money, and make it super comfortable and make it easy for you to do things like ask some simple questions, convert that into retrieving statements, setting up follow-up appointments, and then reaching out to my team who's going to help you from that point to actually getting money moved and getting paid. So this is the goal, and it's real simple. If you have an opportunity to learn how to add $60,000 to $100,000 a year to your personal cash flow, just by asking a few simple questions and getting good at it, that's what I'm going to start putting on the table tomorrow. If you don't have any interest in that, that's okay. Don't show up. But if you think, an extra $5,000 to $8,000 a month, potentially on the low side, could benefit you and your family and your business, this would be a great call to get started. I'm looking forward to it, Cindy. I'm excited. Let's get rolling.
Very cool. Yes, you will hear a lot more from David. I mean, who doesn't want an extra $60,000 to $100,000? I added 20,000 there, David. $60,000 to $100,000 a year just by asking a handful of questions. Sounds awesome to me. All right. Any other questions? We good? If you do, let me know. Again, we want to give you a process so you know how to handle those calls, but also if you're a new agent, we want you to be able to go through a process and be successful. So if you do have questions, reach out. Thank you, guys. Dallas, back to you, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for being on here. I love the group participation, right? We get better by leaning on those around us. So I appreciate that. If we can do anything, please reach out. Chris, thank you again. It was very short notice, but you came through. You always do, buddy. Appreciate y'all.
All right. See ya.